So I went into this one optimistic. I figured it's the climax they'd been building up to, so surely it'd be something adjacent to a fun romp. It started with a recap, and then the theme song, and I'm gonna be honest, it shouldn't have, but the start of this episode caught me off guard. This goes on for nearly a full, uninterrupted minute. Ark and Ariane teleport in, kick some ass, and make their way to where the noble guy is that guy from that scene in episode 3, and also the father of Bullcut, by the way, is staying. He's easily taken down. The whole process doesn't even take 3 minutes. That's it. That's your climax. Ariane beats the crap out of this guy while Ark finds a secret stash of gold and starts hoarding it. When Ariane catches him, he says that it's wise to take away the guy's funds so that they can't be used for starting the slave trade back up, which I guess is a pretty alright excuse, so Ariane bought it. A bunch of explosions happen elsewhere in the building, presumably by the ninjas, so the two of them teleport out, elf girls in tow. Ark is apparently going to keep all the gold, and Ariane still gives him the initial payment he was meant to get for helping out as a sort of tongue-in-cheek joke, since it's a really tiny amount in comparison. They talk about Ark coming along to the land of elves to keep helping them, but Ark informs her that he cannot take off his helmet, which he might have to do if he goes there. She convinces him to let her see his face, and while shocked, it doesn't shake her faith in him. I really wish this would have coincided with a moment of her learning what he's really like and hearing him speak in his real voice rather than his deepened night voice, because, symbolism. But I guess it's a nice moment. Alright, it's time for politics. The king has 3 children. One of the kids is bad and worked with the slave trade, and the rest are good. The girl gets sent to the elf village to ease tensions in light of the slave trade, which was a breach of a contract between their nations. I just saved you a little under 4 minutes. Ark and Ariane are going through the forest where they have some slice-of-life antics. Then we get the princess talking about political stuff, mostly just re-emphasizing stuff we already know. We also learn that she's visiting a duchy next to the elf nation and that her sister is married to the duke. Ark and Ariane arrive at their destination. End of episode. Alright, there were 4 things that I found especially interesting in this episode. So, first off, this show is very inconsistent when it comes to the morality of killing people. In episode 1, Ark kills people who are in the act of violating someone, and then kills more of them while they tried to run away. Then, when fighting guards, he tries non-lethal methods. Makes some sense. Then, when they capture the big bad, no one even suggests killing him, with Ariane content to continuously kick him. Ark seems to feel uncomfortable with this and implies that maybe she should stop. Maybe she's going too far. She's very bitter about their nation's agreement being disrespected, and the show implies that her response to oppression is fueled by anger rather than reason, and that she needs to reconsider her approach. That's why Ark acts like it might be too much, and the cinematography gets dramatic for a second. The second has to do with how this show handles racism, specifically the way that it seems to treat it as systemic. These bandits aren't capturing elves because they're bigots, they do it because they were ordered to, and they were ordered to because there's a market for them. But here's a question that the show doesn't ask. What should we do about the fact that there is a market for them? Because the high demand isn't gonna stop. The episode even makes a passing mention of the high probability that the slave trade is going to reemerge. And yet we have 4 members of the royal family, among whom is the one bad one who's responsible for everything. Believing that the way our society is structured will inevitably create the slave trade is kind of inconsistent with framing most of the royal family, who reign over that system, as well-intentioned and good, and the problems as coming from one bad apple. We are presented with an existential, hard-to-pin-down threat, and yet all of our conflicts revolve around the actions of a few hateable individuals, and a good chunk of the characters that could be used to pose this threat just aren't. Maybe it does something clever later on to subvert these tropes, but till then, I'm counting it as a negative. Alright, third thing. Ark and Ariane don't have chemistry. At all. And the reason is because while most of them getting along comes from her interacting with the knight persona he puts on, he is very, very different on the inside. To the point that he constantly lies. When your girl gives your boy the measly payment as a joke, the gesture is a reference to his life as a mercenary, playing it off as a joke, emphasizing how he's more than that. If Ark actually was a knight, then Arian's actions might have a lot of meaning to him, because having to live as a mercenary would probably be a very emotionally confusing period of his life. But we don't get any of that meaning because none of that matters to Ark. He never actually cares enough for there to be anything emotionally behind his acts of heroism but, like, the occasional one-liner. The story would have been better if it wasn't an isekai. If this was just about a skeleton knight, I think I might have enjoyed it. Well, I would have hated it a little less. However, my fourth and final point actually has to do with the way that the isekai element could potentially be put to good use. See, I glossed over the slice of life stuff on purpose because there's this one scene that I wanted to end this video on. Ariane tries to resist the urge to cuddle with Ponta for a while, but caves. When Ark comes back, she's acting very silly and animated as she rubs her face all over the beast's tummy. She sees that Ark saw her and then instantly tries to act natural before saying something cool to try and save face. That's, like, really good, right? Ark's whole thing is that he's hiding who he is and pretending to be cooler and more noble than he actually is on the inside. How amazing of a twist would it be if he slowly found out that his adventuring partner was doing the same thing? What if we slowly found out that Ariane was actually this lame idiot BSing her way through being a hero? Then this couple would have something really interesting going on, possibly something genuinely moving. From where I'm standing, though, it looks more like they just had her do something cute so she could be embarrassed when Ark teases her about it. Who knows? But if this show is really doing what I hope it is, then maybe, just maybe, it'll only be mostly garbage. If you want to see me tear apart episode 6, then make sure to like and subscribe with the notifications on, and if you want to support me, you can check out my Patreon. The link, as always, is in the description.